Hey guys, Trey Vittetoe here. Welcome to the first in my three-part series I call Broke and Breaking In, taking your first steps into the music business. So the question I've been asked a lot is, how do you get started in music when you're just beginning and you have no money? Maybe you're a broke college student. Maybe you're a teenager living at home with your parents. Maybe you're just getting started for the first time on your own, renting an apartment in a new city, working a job with limited income. Whatever your situation, you just can't see how to get started making music with no money and limited time. Well, in this series, I want to talk about why it's never been a better time to start making music and finding ways to exploit your music and to do it all on a shoestring budget. So you've got very limited funds to get up and running to develop your music career, but you want it. It's killing you because you know you've got the music in you and you just want to give it a shot. You want to make music and get it out there. So let's consider the possibilities. First, what is it specifically that you want to do? Are you a singer, a musician, a songwriter, a producer? All of those have things in common we need to consider. For instance, no matter what you expect to become, you must think about your audience and what opportunities you want to access. You need to meet other like-minded people to collaborate with. You need to figure out how to record your music so you can sell it or make it available online. And you need to figure out how to access people in this industry that will provide avenues of exploitation. And where you are in life will determine what advantages may be accessible to you. The teenager still living at home, in school, maybe no job or maybe a part-time job. The broke college student who is eating ramen and stretching a $5 pizza for several days. Maybe you're someone that's just getting out on their own. You're in a new city, you have a new job. You're starting out on the bottom rung and you're just making enough money to survive. All of these situations will have an impact on what opportunities and advantages are available to you. And still, there are certain things that you need to know, certain things you can do that are the same no matter your station in life. So before I go any further, I want to make clear that everything I will discuss in this series presupposes that you have already developed certain skills as a musician. In other words, I won't be discussing here how to learn to play the guitar or how to be a singer. There are already great resources online for that, so I won't be addressing things that are quite that elementary. So, what do you need to get started? Well, recently someone reached out to me and they said they were just getting out on their own, they were just starting a new job, and the question was, how do I get started in music when I have little money and I have a full-time job? So first of all, it's obvious. If you're on your own, you have to survive. In fact, most of us have built our music careers while working day jobs. You gotta use your time wisely, but it can be done. I had 2 big albums under my belt, and I was still working a full-time job in music publishing. It was tough, but I was eventually able to quit my job and just focus on being a music producer. But back then, after I got through with my day job, I worked off hours, I worked through the night working on music. And I did it with a wife and children. So if I did it, you can too. Okay, so let's address the limited money issue. I don't want to offend anybody by saying this, but most of the musicians I know are broke or just scraping by, at least if they are in serious pursuit of a music career. That's been my experience for myself and for my friends. So there's one tool that you will need. Doesn't matter whether you're a musician, songwriter, singer, producer, and that's a computer. It's just part of our modern tool set. For music production, the bigger, faster the computer, the more you'll be able to do. These days, I have a solid recording system with a top-end computer. And yet, this is where I first had my success. It's a Toshiba laptop, probably manufactured around 1998 or 99. My dad was trying to get rid of it because he got a new computer, so he gave it to me. Take a look at this. This was my first laptop because I couldn't afford anything new. I loaded some old software on it. I'm sure my software was so old, the companies that made it didn't even support it anymore. I ran an old version of Cubase and Reason. I bought an audio interface for a couple $100. Super basic. The only microphone I had was a used Shure SM58 that I bought back in college for $50. I bought an Oxygen 25 key MIDI keyboard for about $100, and I bought a halfway decent pair of monitors that were on sale for $150. I probably had maybe $650 to $800 invested in my whole recording setup. And with that, I built a track that ended up on a Miley Cyrus album, and she ended up using that song as her opener for her concerts for the next couple of years. It was also in a pretty big Disneyland commercial. And still, I kept using this computer for another year. During that year, we played some songs with Selena Gomez. 3 of the 4 songs we got on her album were built on this computer with a bunch of old software. Finally, for the 4th song, I purchased a Mac laptop. And this was my first foray into recording with new equipment and new software. So you got to start somewhere, and what you create isn't just about having the most expensive gear or recording in a huge professional studio. I worked out of my garage making those songs. I was a struggling musician, living in Los Angeles with a wife and children. I was working a day job, just making enough money to get by. So I didn't have a lot of free cash to go out and buy a lot of nice gear. It came down to basic tools and skill. And back then, even my skills were pretty limited. So if you want to make it, it's not about spending a lot of money on expensive equipment. It's about using what you've got and being persistent. Thanks for watching part 1 of my series on being broke and breaking into the music industry. Watch for part 2, where I'm going to talk about what it's like being a broke college student, some of the advantages you have right there at your university, and a few ways that you could be making some money. And remember, if you got something out of this, please like and subscribe, comment below, and until next time.